Margie, it is always good to talk to you. Let's talk
Thank
about
you.
this issue though, because look, I think it has been happening kind of informally, or at least the threat has been there. We've heard anecdotally of Aussies going to the US, turned around at the border because someone didn't like something they'd put on their social media. And there's usually no explanation. Now this is looking at some kind of formalised process or warning. What would this do?
Well, look, I think it's certainly stimulating some concern within the US travel industry. I think the important thing to know, though, is that this has been an optional requirement on the ESTA form, which many people will know if they travel to the US pretty regularly. It makes Australia part of 42 countries around the world who don't need visas if you're going for a leisure break in America. It smooths the process and makes it that much easier for anyone who's staying up to 90 days. Now, what this will mean is that you will have to include, if this passes, and at this point it's a little bit uncertain whether what will happen, and some of the details are not as clear as we might hope. But certainly it'll mean you'll have to expose something like 5 years of your social media activity. And it's unclear at the moment whether that's public and private or just public.
Yeah, it's a really good question as well, because there's a lot of anxiety when you travel to the United States, and this is what I think part of the problem is. If you have these new visa requirements of social media, are people going to be less likely to book a holiday to the United States, given that they don't really know what the rules are? So yeah, you can look at my social media, but what are they looking for? That's not clear.
Well, and look, some of the industry leaders in this space have been questioning for some time what is the criteria if you do, in fact, include details of your social media, how is it accessed and what does it look like? I think the real-time impacts for people, and it's important to note too, that President Trump is quite right. The tourism industry has been doing quite well. It's significantly more travelers going to the US than we saw, say, 12 months ago. Not as many as pre-COVID, but certainly it's gone from 6 to 10%. So people are going to the US, great place to visit. But what essentially this means is that if the authorities in the US have to do this additional level of checking of social media, it means that it could take a lot longer to get your approval to travel. And so people are going to have to take that into consideration. And certainly we're already seeing some indications of that out of the US already. And in addition, of course, they have now applied a thing called a visa integrity fee, which is $250 to a whole range of countries.
Really interesting. When you talk about increased tourism to the United States, does that include Aussies, or have we dropped off? I imagine the US dollar and the strength of it now, exchange rate, is perhaps prompting a few more people to holiday at home.
But we do hear a lot from people that they're not planning on going skiing this year in the US because it's just a little bit too pricey. However, from a summer holiday point of view, last year compared to this year, Australians traveling to the US has gone from 6 to 10%. So there is an increased level of interest. I think we're just going to have to watch very carefully to see what this latest uncertainty, because that's what it is. We don't know yet when it might come into action, or if in fact it might come into action. But it does give people that level of uncertainty. And I would anticipate in the first couple of quarters of next year, when we get past people who've already pre-booked for it, that we might see a bit of a drop by the middle of 2026 in terms of those Australians travelling to the US.
Yeah, right. So you did say 6 to 10% increase. Is that globally as well, and Australian figures? So
No, they're just
that's just
Australian
Aussie.
figures.
Right.
Wholly Australian figures based on, because we ask the question every quarter in Australia before every set of school holidays. So we know where people are planning on going and whether they're taking the dog on holiday with them.
Oh, right. And are they? Are they taking the dog now?
Yes, they are. Really significant growth in the number of people taking their dogs on holiday. Something like 20% of the population say they're taking the dog. And Virgin's test flights with the puppies on aeroplanes have really gone off. they're fully booked, and they're now looking at well, for at least the next month or so, and they're now looking at extending that service for pets traveling on
Oh,
aeroplanes.
that's so good. So it's been a great success. I'm not a pet
Yes.
owner, I've got to admit, but I wonder if there's been any kind of mid-flight doggy disasters. No word of that?
Well, I certainly hope not, but I'm sure Virgin are doing everything they can to make sure that doesn't happen. Though, so there's only about five animals allowed to travel on any given flight, and anyone who is traveling on the plane is notified beforehand. There will be pets in the flying
Okay.
chamber, so allergies, whatever they can deal with.
All right. Well, we don't have an archetype situation there. That is good to know, Margie. Always good to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Take care. Bye bye.